Okay, so before I begin the video, I just want to talk about my channel. For anyone who has come across my videos, thanks for watching. I've only got 10 subscribers at the moment, so if anyone else wants to subscribe to me, that would really help me out. Like, I'm just doing whatever, really. I'm just doing whatever I feel like. I'm gonna sort of carry on and continue making videos for fun, but it would really help me out if you could subscribe to my channel. Anyway, on with the video. Let's talk about Star Wars. Okay, so The Mandalorian Season 3 comes out soon, and I'm super excited for it. In fact, it's probably the only thing on Disney Plus I'm looking forward to or is worth getting excited about. There's just a lot of crap on there, really. I tried watching Wakanda Forever the other day, and I got through about 10 minutes of it. Had to stop it because it was crap. I mean, I might watch it again in the future, but I just saw 10 minutes of it and just thought, nah, can't be arsed. I watched Tolkien instead, and I thought that was good, so go watch Tolkien. Anyway, back to Star Wars. So, I'm a Star Wars fan. I grew up watching the original and the prequel trilogies, and they're just my favourite movies, all 6 of them. Yes, I like the prequels, and if you don't like them, then, well, you're a knob. Just joking, you're not really a knob. You're entitled to your opinion, I guess. I, like everyone, thought that was it after the prequels. George said there'd be no more movies, but then he sold to Disney, blah blah blah, and then the sequel trilogy happened.
Oh man! Oh God! Oh man! Oh God! Oh man! Oh God! Oh man! Oh God! Oh...
To be fair though, these movies are not the worst movies ever. The Force Awakens was okay, it was decent, but then The Last Jedi happened, and well, my opinion on that is pretty much the same as everyone else's. It's crap, and it gives me a headache every time I think about it. I mean, my opinion of it has somewhat changed, sort of. Like, I don't hate it as much as I did. There's stuff I like. I just would have liked to have seen more of Luke Skywalker doing cool stuff. Like, the story with him is fine, but I just feel like there wasn't much payoff and there was a lot of waiting around for him to do something. And then when he finally does do something cool for like 5 minutes, he then dies. No cool lightsaber fight. He just dodges a lightsaber and then that's it. And that's the payoff. I remember being really disappointed in the cinema watching it. But what I also don't like is the fact that they killed him off, right? They killed him off so he couldn't come back for episode 9. I mean, he did come back as a Force ghost, but it would have been so much better if he was alive. You know, he could have been training Rey or Finn or whatever. Then he could have had a final duel with the Emperor at the end. They could have had a lightsaber fight. And yeah, it's disappointing. It's a shame that they did that. And episode 9... it's not the worst movie, it's okay. Like, J.J. Abrams, he makes serviceable movies in my opinion. Like, I don't mind the Star Trek films that he did, they're okay. And of course, Mission Impossible 3 is very good, and Super 8 is pretty good, but it could have obviously been a lot better. It's a disappointing film, but I kind of enjoy episode 9, sort of. Like, it's good if you shut your brain off, or if you get really drunk. But I mean, I don't drink, so I guess I've just got to pick up a rock or something and bash my head in and then watch it. But yeah, it's a very disappointing film if you're sober, and it just felt like a rushed mess, just a rushed mess where just stuff is just happening. They're just moving from one scene to the next, and it's just sort of like, oh, we've got to go over here to get to the thing, and we've got to go to this planet, and then get to this planet, and then get the dagger and do the thing, and then do that, and it's all just ugh. But anyway. Oh yeah, I like Rogue One despite its problems, and Solo is I actually really like Solo. I didn't want it, like I didn't like it's not a film I was asking for, but I thought it was actually okay, and Alden Ehrenreich was okay in the film, but he just wasn't Harrison Ford. You know, he gives a good performance, but he just wasn't Harrison Ford. I wish they'd made something else instead, to be honest, but I quite liked it. It's decent, it's got some good action scenes. I like Daenerys Targaryen, I like her, and Woody Harrelson, they're pretty good. And yeah, Paul Bettany was good in the film as well. So The Mandalorian came out, the very first Star Wars live-action TV series. It came out, and to mine and everyone else's surprise, it's actually really good. Like, it didn't suck. Fancy that. Season 1 and 2, to me, were great. Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, they understand Star Wars. They know what fans want, and they respect us. Yeah, sure. Seeing Luke Skywalker at the end with a CGI face was a bit odd, and the de-aging looked a bit off, but I just went with it and used my imagination and just had a good time with it. It was nuts. Seeing Luke chop up all those stormtrooper droid thingies is exactly what I wanted to see him do in the sequel trilogy. But no, we couldn't have that. What I like about the show though is that each episode for me feels like full. Like, I watch an episode and at the end of it, I feel satisfied. I don't go, oh, was that it? And each episode just feels like its own self-contained story, like you're watching a mini movie. I feel like I get exactly what I want. Yes, there's an overarching story, but each episode feels like it all wraps up at the end. And another thing to point out is this, rewatchability. I've watched this show so many times. Most TV shows are worth seeing once and then that's it. But this is a show I keep revisiting because I just love it. It's 100% for me. I would marry it if I could. What it does is it takes me to my happy place. Happy. So all felt good in Ewan's happy place until, hark, by the pricking of my thumbs, something wicked this way comes.
Hark! Hark! Triton! Hark!
And then we got Book of Boba Fett, which was okay-ish. It had lots of problems. The first 2 episodes had promise. Then the next 2 went a bit downhill. The Vesper gang was crap. Boba Fett was kind of a soft idiot. Not the Boba Fett we know. He needed to be more villainous and ruthless. And then we got 2 episodes of The Mandalorian for some reason, which was fine because the 2 episodes were good, but it was just odd because this is not what we were promised. I mean, I thought Din Djarin was going to show up and make an appearance, but I didn't think he'd take over the whole show. And I didn't think we would get him and Baby Yoda reunited again so soon. It kind of undoes the ending of season 2 of The Mandalorian. And I thought The Mandalorian season 3 was going to continue on, but with a different story, one without Grogu for most of it. I think that would have been interesting to see Din Djarin without Grogu, you know, for like a season, and then maybe at the final episode he meets him again, you know, perhaps, I don't know. We did get to see Luke Skywalker again, and the CGI on his face looked a lot better, and I'm excited to see what they do with Luke in the future, because obviously they are going to keep bringing back Luke. They might as well. They've done it now, so they might as well. But then after that, the final episode to me of the Book of Boba Fett wasn't that great. It kind of fizzled out. Cad Bane was cool, but the other villains weren't that great. And I give this show an overall meh. And I think the blame for everything falls to Kathleen Kennedy just for everything, but mainly on Robert Rodriguez. I like him. You know, he makes great films and stuff, and I love him. But he makes films that are quite flawed. Like, if you really look back at all of his films, they're quite flawed. But it's okay because he has his own sort of style, and you know, films don't always have to make sense to be enjoyable or whatever. But when you're making a Star Wars thing, when you're doing a Star Wars film or a TV show, you're sort of on thin ice. You have to be careful not to screw things up. So yeah, sorry about that, Robert. Star Wars fans are crazy. They will literally destroy you. So onward with the video. Obi-Wan Kenobi. I liked this show. I didn't think it was excellent, but there was a lot I liked about it. It was great to see my fellow Ewan back again, playing Obi-Wan again, and to see him kick ass and fight stormtroopers with his lightsaber and stuff was cool. The show kind of does the same story as The Last Jedi, sort of, but at least the main character is on an adventure, and you know, Obi-Wan is not like Luke, where he's a bit sad, but he's not like, oh, I'm not going to do anything. You know, he's actually goes on the adventure and he's doing stuff. He's active. He's fighting people. You know, he's not just sitting about on an island being sad. He is sad for just one episode, and then he mans up and grows some balls and goes on an adventure to rescue Leia. So I like that. That's what they should have done with Luke. That's what they should have done. They should have had him be more active and go with Rey on an adventure to different planets and stuff. So yeah, the show gave me everything I wanted, but it did give me some stuff I just wasn't really interested in. Like, I don't think having Leia in the show and having her get kidnapped was a good idea. I would have done something else. I don't know what I would have done, but I would have done something else. Because I don't know if that breaks canon a little bit, I'm not sure. And of course, Reva, she wasn't a bad character. It's just they were kind of trying really hard to make her more important than she needed to be in this story. The scene at the end where she fights Owen Lars, for instance, could have been cut out. Didn't need to be there. And she just took up a lot of the focus and just wasn't all that interesting, or I just wasn't all that interested with her, to be honest. You know, I wanted to see more of Anakin and Obi-Wan, and I wanted to see more of that. But if they bring her character back in some way in the future, then I'd be interested to see what they do with her. And yes, seeing Darth Vader and Obi-Wan fight again was great, but I'm not so sure about it. Does it break continuity? I don't know. Regardless of that, it's probably one of the best lightsaber fights in the entire Disney Star Wars. Like, the lightsaber fights in the sequel trilogy were okay, but mainly for the environments that they were fighting in, not for the choreography. Like, the fight in episode 9 was good, but that wasn't because of the choreography. It was mainly for the fact that they were on top of the Death Star wreckage and the waves were crashing and stuff, but the choreography was kind of like meh. The prequel trilogy gave us the best lightsaber fights, in my opinion. Although, no, it's not just my opinion, that is just fact. They're just better. But this fight between Obi-Wan and Vader was pretty sweet. I mean, we got 2 fights, but like the main fight at the end was really, really good. Yeah, it was pretty good, but I don't know if it breaks continuity or whatever. It was just fun to watch. It's great to see Hayden Christensen back. We get a little flashback with him. But I think people were too harsh on him in the past with the prequels. I think he gave a good performance as Anakin, and Joel Edgerton as Uncle Owen was back again. He's cool. And Jimmy Smits as Bail Organa. And of course we get a nice cameo from Liam Neeson and of course the Emperor, so that was cool. Oh yeah, and Flea makes a cameo as well for some reason, so yeah, Flea. So overall, I like this show. It's watchable. It could have been better though. It probably should have been a movie. That probably would have been better, like a nice 2-hour movie, because it felt a bit stretched out at times. You know, it could have just been a nice 2-hour film. Should there be a season 2? I don't think there needs to be one, but maybe. We'll see. I'd watch it. What could they do? It would be interesting to see more of Qui-Gon Jinn as a Force ghost, and maybe we get some flashbacks to Qui-Gon training Obi-Wan, or maybe, you know, do some sort of de-aging on Ewan McGregor's face and make him look like he's 20 or whatever. That's probably the only thing that I would be interested in seeing. But yeah, anyway, moving on to the more recent TV series, Andor. Okay. So when I heard that they were making a Cassian Andor show, I was like, what? Why? But then I thought, well, hang on, that could be good, because exploring that time period before Rogue One and that gap where the rebellion, you know, that gap in the timeline where the rebellion is building and the Empire are ruling over, that could be interesting. And there might be some more characters there they could introduce, perhaps, and they could make Rogue One better by building the characters more and the story and whatever. And so yeah, I got excited for it, and they announced some of the cast, and Tony Gilroy was involved, and I like Tony Gilroy. He worked on the Bourne movies. I actually think the Bourne legacy is quite underrated in my opinion. Maybe I'll do a video about that in the future. But yeah, everything sounded promising, although they said K2SO was not going to appear in the show, and that made me say, what? But that's okay, it's just he was the best character in Rogue One, that's all. So maybe he might be in season 2, perhaps, maybe. But yes, is the show good? Yes, it's a good show. Is it better than The Mandalorian? I don't know. They're both very different shows. Mandalorian is more of a fun show that basically gives you everything that you want. And as I said, I always feel satisfied after an episode ends. Whereas Andor is a bit different. It's a little bit more slower paced. It's a lot more serious. It's not like beating you over the head with member berries every 5 minutes, which, by the way, I like member berries. I like nostalgia. I like being told every 5 minutes, hey, remember that thing? That's cool. You know, I don't mind that. But sometimes you don't want that. But as I say, Mandalorian is a much more satisfying show. Like when I was watching Andor, when some of the episodes ended, I was watching it every week, and when an episode ended, I remember being like, was that it? Oh, come on. Must be more. It's a more, you know, it sort of left me wanting more, and it's a more kind of traditional it's a more traditional kind of show, like Game of Thrones in many ways, where some episodes are filler episodes, and then they're there to simply build up characters and stuff for the big episodes where something dramatic and big happens, and that can be tedious if you're watching each episode every week and waiting for something cool to happen, but then it doesn't, because you want to feel like you get your money's worth. But actually it does work, the build up, the slow tension, it does build up a lot of tension, so that when something does happen, it's really, really cool. Like, for instance, the whole heist episode where they steal the Empire's payroll. The 2 episodes before that were a bit slow. They built up all the characters and stuff, so when the bad stuff happens or when someone dies, you feel something. When they go on the heist, when someone gets killed, it's like, oh no, that guy was cool. You feel like an attachment. You care, you get a backstory on each person, and you're like, oh dear. And like the prison story, when Andor goes into the prison, that was fantastic. Andy Serkis, he was brilliant, and all the prisoners, you get attached to them, and then when they finally hatch a daring escape, you actually care, because there's been such a big build up of tension. So yeah, the show is very good. It has this more serious tone, which I like. It's like
Shit just got real.
there's this feeling of dread, and the Empire are actually quite terrifying, and the good guys are not super invincible like they are in other movies and TV shows. You don't have like any Mary Sue characters like Rey. They're vulnerable. They're human. Any character could die at any moment. I mean, apart from obviously Andor, because you know where he ends up, but any other character, you're like, oh, that guy could die, or that person could die. And it's refreshing to see that in a Star Wars show. It's very grown up and mature, and I wouldn't say it's for kids. It does get quite, I think a lot of kids would not really like this. They'd get a bit bored, or they'd be traumatized probably. Yeah, it's not for kids. Anyway, the performances are great, especially from Skarsgård. He gives a great monologue, and Andy Serkis was great as well. And Diego Luna's fine in the show. He's fine. It's just that they could have made this show about anyone, really. They could have made up some random character, and the show would be fine. You didn't need to make a show about Cassian Andor, but they did, and he's fine in it. He's good. I would say he's actually, you get to know him more in this, and that's what I like, because you don't really get to know him in Rogue One, and then that's the only time you see him, and then that's it. He's dead. I like the woman who plays Mon Mothma as well. Thought she was cool. Oh yeah, and I don't know if any of you are fans of EastEnders, but there's an actor who played a character called Trevor years and years ago in EastEnders, who is in this show, and it's just always funny to see him pop up in films and stuff. He was in The Batman, and he was in Chernobyl, where he got his dick out. But yeah, it's funny to see him. But yeah, it's a good show. The final episode wasn't as amazingly spectacular as it could have been, but I did like it. Although there was a bit where a guy headbutts a stormtrooper in the helmet, which didn't make any sense. I think that would really hurt. That would really hurt your head if you headbutt a stormtrooper. Yeah, so that was a bit odd. But no, it's got me excited for season 2. I hope we get to see more of the characters from Rogue One, like Krennic, K2SO, maybe Galen Erso, maybe Jyn. Oh yeah, Forrest Whitaker is in the show as well, and it'd be cool to see him pop up again. Maybe we find out how he loses his legs. Like that would have been cool. So like, there's a lot for season 2 that I want. Like, I want to see like how he loses his legs. I want to see K2SO. I want to see Krennic. I want to see all this stuff. There, it is a good show, but it left me wanting more. So I hope we get all of the stuff that we want to see in season 2. But also he could bump into like Din Djarin as well, for the hell of it. But why not? Why not tie the 2 shows together? Like Din Djarin, before Rogue One, what was he doing in that time period? He probably was a young Mandalorian. Maybe his armor wasn't as shiny as it is now. That would be kind of funny. And also like maybe like Boba Fett as well. You could have Andor maybe bumping into Boba Fett. You could have Jabba the Hutt. Maybe even we could see Darth Vader perhaps, or the Emperor, or Moff Gideon perhaps, or Grand Moff Tarkin. I know that a lot of people might say, oh, that's just member berries. I don't want nostalgic stuff. I want new stuff. Well, yeah, okay, but you want stuff that ties it all together. You know, you want to see characters. You know, like you want to see like R2D2 and C3PO and stuff like that. You know, you want to. It connects it all. So yeah, anyway, it's a good show, and I will stop talking about it. Apparently, the viewership was not as high as The Mandalorian, so you know that's a shame. That's a shame that people are not watching it as much, but it's a good show. Give it a go if you haven't watched it yet. I would definitely say it's better than Obi-Wan and Book of Boba Fett, purely based on writing and characters and story and all that sort of stuff. Obi-Wan gives me lots of lightsaber fights though, so you know I'm a sucker for a lightsaber fight. But yeah, good show. I'll stop talking about it. Anyway, Mandalorian Season 3 is on its way. I hope it's good. I hope it's not like the Book of Boba Fett, which was a bit of a misstep. Not a total car crash, but a bit of a misstep. I'm sure this won't be disappointing. I have faith in Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni. They're good guys. I hope Luke shows up in a cool way, like before, and I hope we get to see Bill Burr as well. I like Bill Burr. He's my favourite character. Shame Gina Carano won't be in it. That's a shame, but whatever. And I just hope it doesn't suck. You know, I'm going to try and review each episode when it comes out and give my opinion. So if you're interested, please subscribe to my channel. I'd appreciate it, so we can grow and I can improve and I can get better and whatever, and you know, maybe get monetized in the future. So yes, anyway, I'm done talking about Star Wars for today. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.